Both sides have been offered a mediation by Malaysia. And initially, Thailand rejected Malaysian arbitration in this conflict. Why do you think Malaysia has a value in this conflict at all? And why Thailand initially rejected the plan for the ceasefire?
So Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia, as well as 7 other countries are part of ASEAN, right?
ASEAN.
Association of Southeast Asian Nations. And the Malaysian Prime Minister, it's his turn as the chair this year. That's why he's the one that is sort of taking the initiative to reach out to both sides, to bring them to the table, because they don't want this to escalate, obviously, to something more than what it is. And what it is right now, analysts suspect that the Thais are trying to push the Cambodians away from the border, and the Cambodians are trying to stand up for their rights along the border as they see it, as best they can.
But Mike, ASEAN, by the virtue of it, it has an Achilles heel. It cannot impose any sanctions. It cannot have any peacekeeping forces. Malaysia itself is a little disputed in terms of its own conflicts. So why do you think that Thailand or Cambodia would both take Malaysia's arbitration seriously?
Well, because they are members of ASEAN, and ASEAN is an organization that, tries to promote economic and security cooperation amongst its members. There are 10 members. It is probably the biggest organization in Southeast Asia, at least economic organization. And you have to remember that both Thailand and Cambodia, although Thailand has the stronger military, neither one can really afford to get into what you and I would think is a full-blown war. And so it's up to the Malaysian Prime Minister, as head of ASEAN this year, to step in, have the conversations so that hopefully the two sides will come together. And there are also, by the latest reports, the two sides will be meeting, representatives from both Thailand and Cambodia will be meeting tomorrow, Monday, in Malaysia.
But, regionally, when we have seen that whenever there have been wars, they have never been about the local powers. Just recently, we saw Pakistan heading on with India. It was not just about Pakistan, India. It was more about China versus India. And India was not alone. India had the other powers backing it. Do you think that this conflict, it's not just about Thailand and Cambodia, it's more about Cambodia's inclination towards China and Thailand's inclination towards US? Do you think these two superpowers have a role to play in it?
So I don't think that they have a military role to play. And I would actually say that Thailand now, although they do buy weapons from the US, they actually are closer to China than they are to the US. Cambodia, of course, is very close to China. But I believe that the Americans and the Chinese recognize that this is, again, I don't want to downplay the significance of it because people have died and about 160,000 people have been displaced. Yeah. But it is a border skirmish, and it's not something that is that new to either side. And I think the Chinese and the Americans recognize the significance of it. And they also realize this is not going to be worth either a superpower, China or the US, getting involved, at least directly.
So if global powers are not getting involved, that means we are back to the square one, which is Malaysia. But back in 2008, when Indonesia tried to create an arbitration and Thailand outright refused it because they don't want observers. They don't want someone else because they are more concerned about sovereignty. Do you think it's another deja vu over here?
So I don't. And I would say that, to repeat myself, China and the US recognize there isn't a point to get involved militarily. But what has happened, of course, just today, is that Donald Trump has had conversations with both the acting prime minister in Thailand and the prime minister in Cambodia. And he said to them, there will be no tariff talk, and we only have a few days until the August 1st deadline. There will be no tariff talk until there's a ceasefire. So if Malaysia isn't successful, Malaysia will be able to become successful because of what Donald Trump is doing behind the scenes. Of course, it's not so much behind the scenes because we know the president likes to get out in front, go on his Truth Social and talk about how successful he's been in conversations.
But